In this video, I'm going to teach you how to add some millwork details. And millwork is a catch-all term for any sort of wood things that happen in your space that aren't necessarily related to like actual pieces of wood furniture. So in this case, when I say millwork, we're going to be talking about baseboards and crown molding. Now, adding these things to your project can add a level of detail that uh, really kind of elevates your skill set, and it makes projects and elevations specifically look really, really good. So, the thing about Revit, though, is that it thinks about millwork, especially in terms of baseboards and crown molding, as sweeps. So, we're going to be creating our sweeps now. And as I said, we're going to create crown molding and baseboards because these are the two pieces that really connect or cover up any imperfections where two materials meet. And you may not know this, or maybe you do, but that's why we use them. For example, in our wood floors here, wood floors need an expansion gap because wood expands and contracts in humidity. And so there's always about a quarter-inch gap between the wood on the floor and the walls. And so that needs to be covered up with a baseboard. And baseboards are also used to protect the wall against any sort of damage that might happen from mopping or vacuuming and things like that. So they're a really important part of any space. And so that's why I wanted to teach you how to create them here. Now, the sweeps in Revit are related to wall types. So if you want the sweeps to behave differently on different walls or in different areas, there's some customization that you can do, which is, sort of tinkering down under the hood, so to speak, of Revit. But just real simple sweeps, you just have to figure out what wall you want to start with, and then you can duplicate those sweeps throughout, your project on all different wall types. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just start with the this real simple wall right here, and we're going to edit the type on this just basic 1 hour partition. So I'm going to begin by hitting edit type, and I'm going to go to this edit button here. And then I'm going to hit this preview button. And if yours doesn't look like mine, it might be because you're looking at the image in a plan view and we want to see it in a section. And so you can see here, we've got this option for sweeps. And it wants to know what kind of sweeps we want. And there's all different kinds, but for right now, we don't have any. So we will go ahead and add one. And we are going to go ahead and load the profile because there's going to be some here and there's some that I've already loaded, but yours may not have any of these. And so we're going to go start by hitting load profile. And if it doesn't direct you here, what you're going to go to is, let's see, it's under profiles and it's finished carpentry. And we're going to start by just showing you a preview here. So there's a bunch of different types. I'm going to start with the baseboard 3 because it's really simple. And we'll hit open. And you can see here, once you've loaded it, you've got a bunch of different sizes of it. So this is the height and this is the width. So we'll go ahead and pick that one. The material, again, it's going to bring us to our material library. We'll go ahead and make it wood. So it's asking us the distance from the base. Now, the base is the level 2 floor because that's where the wall is based. So remember, we've got a 1-inch thick floor finish. So our distance is going to be 1 inch. And we can have it on the exterior side, and we can also put one on the interior, but they're two separate sweeps. Offset is if we wanted it to kind of float out into the middle of the floor. And so that's where we could put it there. And we will go ahead and leave it at that. We'll sit and put apply, and you'll see it here. Look, there it is. Offset 1 inch from the ground. Okay. So we're going to go back to sweeps and we're going to click on this and we're going to duplicate it because we want the exact same thing. But instead of the exterior side, we want to put it on the interior. And we'll hit apply and OK, and there's our base. The next thing we're going to do is create a crown molding. So we'll hit load profile. And once again, there's a lot of different crown molding types. We can just do a real simple cove. And when we hit add, there it is. So material, once again, will be wood. And it can be, you would specify later on if it's stain grade or paint grade. Now, distance from the base. Now, we've got 10-inch high ceilings, remember? But this one is actually 4 1/4 inches tall. So what we need to do is actually drop it down because we want it to not hit right at 10 feet because that will be where the bottom of it goes. But we want it to actually start at 10 feet minus this height right here. So when we say distance from base, we could do top too. But let's go ahead and do the distance from the base. So 10 feet minus 4 1/4 inches. So I, in general, try not to do math in my head. So I'm going to pause and do a little math on a machine. Okay, so the distance from the base, once I subtract 4 1/4 inches from 10 feet, should be 115 inches because I converted feet to inches and then subtracted the 4 1/4 from that. So we'll see how this looks, but again, this is a very easy thing to fix if it doesn't look right the first time around. So let's hit apply and OK, and look, there it is. And then let's go ahead and do one more, and we'll just duplicate this one, and we'll put it on the interior. Let's see. Interior, exterior. That's the problem. I duplicated the wrong thing. So easy fix. Look at this. We'll hit delete. Go back here. Change this to exterior. And then we'll go to this one and duplicate. I'm going to click right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at it. If you zoom in, you can see it right here, and you can see it wrapping around the walls here. And if I take an elevation, I should be able to see it here. Let's see. And I've got my elevation tags hidden, that's why. So let me unhide and view. Okay, and then let's make sure that this is selected. Okay, we've got that tag correct. And let's go scroll down to the elevation view. Let's see how it looks. Wrong one, wrong one. Let's see, I think it's this one. And look, there's our crown molding sitting right up against the ceiling, and it looks beautiful. And look, a baseboard too. It looks wonderful. Okay, so the only other thing I want to do is show it to you in section. Okay, so in order to see this in a section view, I'm just going to click here and click here. And again, it's hidden because I was looking at some other things. Now, it can be helpful to note, I'm putting a lot of sections and elevation tags and things in this project so that I can see and show you as I draw. But just keep in mind that we delete these and we only save in our project the elevation tags and section tags for the ones that we're going to put in the sheet set. So for example, we can see, look at that beautiful section. How nice it looks. But I would delete all of these, and you just can hit right click and delete. And I would just show the sections that I'm going to keep in my drawing set. Now, my question is this: it's floating, and that's a really simple fix. So it looks like in this case, the flooring is going under the walls. And that was because in this area, you can see here, we can look at it from the design plan. If I look at this section, for example, and if I right click and hit go to view, you can see here that the flooring is going up to the wall, which is typically what would happen. We have the structural slab here, and then the walls sit on top of the structural slab, and then the flooring goes up to the walls. And so the reason why it's correct here, but it's not really correct in the rest of the spot is because if I was doing this for a real project, I would stop the floor basically to go around. Here, I'll show you. To go around these walls here. And I didn't. I just stopped it on the perimeter of the room. So that's the reason why in this case, the floor is going under the wall, even though under normal circumstances it would go up to. So it's not wrong. It's just for the sake of time and for the fact that this is a skill-based class instead of a 100% realistic one. I didn't go through and do that, but you're welcome to really get meticulous with the outline of that floor finish layer if you would like. But knowing that, what we can do is go ahead and edit type and drop that offset because it's not really relevant now, is it? So I'm going to change this to 0. And now that section will look good. Perfect. Now, if you want to see the detail of it, you can hit fine and you'll be able to actually see the profile of the baseboard coming up to the wall and attaching. And it looks just great. And in an elevation, it'll look really beautiful as well.